Hey guys, it's your boy Noku, and welcome back to one of the biggest videos I will probably ever make research-wise. You can guess what we will be talking about based on the title and thumbnail of the video, so let me start by setting the scene. I was never really known for being a completionist. Like, sure, I would 100% and platinum some games I really liked, but I was casual mostly. Until the infamous big 2020 rolled around. You guys know what happened during that time. You know, the big scary pandemic that set the world back by like a decade and absolutely ruined any chance of me having a social life. But I'm not here to whine about the consequences or whatever the hell happened back then. Instead, I'm gonna talk about what I did in the meantime. As any, at the time, teen would, I spent basically all of my time doing whatever I love most. But this time I was so bored out of my mind just playing Minecraft for the 72 millionth time that I just decided, hey, why don't I get into platinum hunting? I don't really have anything better to do than to waste time grinding for trophies. And well, after a while, this thing I just did out of pure boredom turned into a complete obsession. Because I can't be normal with any of my hobbies, I have to dedicate my life to whatever I'm obsessed with at the current moment. But over the time, I amassed an, in my opinion, pretty impressive collection while doing this, and has become my main source of getting any kind of dopamine to my brain. Yeah, let's not talk about the mental consequences of how this period of my life rewired my brain. That's for the armchair psychologists down in the comments below to figure out. Instead, let's talk about my experience getting these platinums, providing any tips if possible, and just talk about trophies in general. For clarity, I will only be talking about the trophies themselves. I am not a game reviewer, and I don't think I will ever be a good one, so the game itself will mostly be ignored. Since we are talking about so many games here, this video will be split into two volumes. The first volume will be me talking about the first half of my platinum list all the way until platinum 30. The second volume will have the rest of my list, so just stick around for episode 2 if you like this first part. This volume will be shorter as well, since some of these trophies are old. And I don't have much to say about the early trophies anyway, since it's been a while since I've done them and have absolutely no memory of some of these games anymore. And finally, with all of that context and explanations out the way, let's start with the patient zero of my completionist tendencies, obtained all the way in 2018, a solid 7 years ago. And that game is... Starting with LEGO Dimensions. I got so little to say about this game, man. How do you expect me to remember anything from a game I played 7 years ago and never touched again? I remember Speedy Thing Goes In being pretty hard, since I sucked dick at video games and could not meet the time requirement for a while. But that's about it, really. I guess I could talk about some of the repeating patterns and context I should clear up before we go further in. I grew up most of my childhood with a PS3, and only got my PS4 right before the pandemic. What matters though is that both of these consoles were used throughout the entire collection process. Sometimes I would do like 6 PS4 platinums, and right after do like 4 PS3 platinums because I just felt like it. Another thing, since my first platinum is a LEGO game, let me make myself clear. I fucking love LEGO games. You will be seeing LEGO games all over this list, especially on the second half. Nothing can make me hate LEGO games, or even the IRL brand itself. Except maybe for the price of the sets, fuck those. Anyway, moving on to another platinum I have a lot more to say about, that game being... Now this game is my prime. I know every part of this old ass fossilized version of Minecraft like the back of my hand. So well in fact, that I have every single possible trophy in the game. Not just a base list named for the platinum. I even have the online multiplayer trophies I was grinding this game so hard. I actually recently revisited the servers, and I am glad to report that the lobbies are still alive and well. You love to see it. Anyway, are there any difficult trophies to look out for? Not really. If you know how the game actually works, you can do this in like an hour, with the most annoying trophy being when pigs fly, just for the fact that it's just inconvenient to do, on a rail because holy, this is one expensive ass trophy. The amount of iron you need for the rails is crazy, and then having to build a 500 block long line to just ride is time consuming and resource heavy. Sniper Duel I also remember being annoying, since my booger eating thumb sucking dumbass just didn't know I can just trap the skeleton and count the shooting distance. That's about it for the game really. Well, this version of the game anyway, but that will come later. Let's move on to our next platinum, that game being... I'll be honest, the only reason I have this game is because the YouTubers I like played this game like 11 years ago, and I always wanted to try it myself. None of the trophies are that hard, except for the Flap Master, where you have to get 10 points in the shitty version of Flappy Bird. You can just look up everything else and do them with little to no effort. Not me though. To clarify, I always tried my best to not use guides for platinums for a while just to feel more accomplished about my platinums, which majorly bit me in the ass later down the platinum list, and would later learn that if I'm stuck, I should just get some damn help. Not much else to say, let's just move on to another game. We finally move on to the PS4, but during this time I'm still casual, so the collection isn't picking up any pace yet. Man, there's so little to say about this list, probably for good reason since I am aware that Toby Fox, the developer, is not a fan of trophies and achievements and such. There are two types of trophies. Trophies you get just by literally playing the game, and the Dog Nation trophies. You can find this donation box either in Papyrus's house or in the waterfall in the Genocide Run. Donate 350 gold to it and it gives you a generous 15 trophies. You can have 350 gold easily no matter what route you play, so just splurge away, beat the game, and that's literally it. Simple. Just move on already to the next game. Alright, now this is where the real meat of this video starts. This platinum is where my obsession really began and where the games I really give a shit about show up. I took a solid 1.5 break between this platinum and the last, because I can only assume that I was trophy hoarding, basically where I was getting every trophy for all my games except one to quickly finish off my platinums back to back. Starting with Ghost of Tsushima. This game's trophies are nothing to write home about, making it a pretty easy and enjoyable platinum if you want to start out with platinum hunting yourself. For big open world games like this, the lists tend to be the same. Story trophies, collectible trophies, side quests, and some hidden secrets to find. Nothing too difficult, just play the game, 100% the game, which is time consuming but not difficult. Look for guides to find whatever secret the game is offering you, and you have the whole list done. Moving on to the next game. Next up, we got the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Well, only the first game anyway. The rest of the games will come later. These games have some pretty cool trophies with some easy obvious ones, some more hidden ones that might need a guide, but aren't too hard, and these 6 trophies specifically that you can get in the flying levels, god, these ones suck! Overall, nothing too hard though. Beat the game normally and get to 100% and use a guide for anything else you missed. Easy as that. Moving on. This game is one of the many games that need multiple playthroughs to get the platinum. Most trophies are obvious or can be looked up with guides, and for your first playthrough just make sure not to use the auto hack feature for these hacking segments. Some trophies can be pretty grindy, like Master of War, and some trophies are actually pretty difficult, like these trophies that need you to get the hoverboard segments in time, with the time limit being pretty tight. I still remember having a real hard time with Faster Than a Speedy Gun on Meeboid. That time limit is just way too restrictive for the first of these segments. Going back, the reason you need to do a second playthrough is because of just one trophy, that being Death by Disco. This trophy is simple, just hit every enemy with this disco ball weapon to make them dance. And yes, this counts bosses, so that's why you need to do a second playthrough for this. Nothing difficult, just a little time consuming. Moving on. This game is all just miscellaneous trophies, with most of them being easy to do, but there are still some tricky ones. The best of the worst is pretty tricky because bringing over a Tar Slime to your ranch just to bring him over to this super expensive stand is not only risky because he can fuck your ranch up, but also, as I mentioned, expensive as hell because of this stand. Controlling the chaos, I'll be honest, feels like complete luck. Just catch a lot of pink slimes in one area and swivel your vac around them. Thing is, this worked for me after like 20 minutes of trying, so I'm not sure if I was doing something wrong or the game was glitched. Which, let me be honest, even though I love this game to bits, I am far more to believe that as the reason. Hat Trick can be cheesed a bit with Golden Ginger, which gives double plorts from Golden Slimes, but you still gotta actually catch this rare slime and then aim the food at him in time. The difficult part of this list comes from the Rush mode, where the game changes a bit but the goal remains the same: make as much money as fast as possible, but with a time limit this time. You gotta get 75k for the highest tier trophy, and boy, this takes a while. If for some reason you're not doing a guide for this, like me, you have your first run just doing the basics and figuring out how the new additions help you out actually get your money faster. Since each run takes about 51 minutes, each unsuccessful run is such a massive time waste that adds up after a while. But you can still learn from your wasted attempts to take you one step closer to the end. Or you can just look up Rush Mode min-maxers and steal their strats. You do you, I'm not your parent. Moving on. About 90% of this game's trophies can be obtained just by playing the game regularly, and the other 10% are either just really difficult or a hassle to do. Grappin' Forte isn't hard, but this game has so many toilets all over the place that finding them all is gonna be an adventure in and of itself. The Morgan Freeman fight is like one of those secret bosses that are harder than the final boss himself, so gear up and beat his ass. Corporate Wolf is just gambling, which fits, but it's really just gambling for a really long time until you get max market rank. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps is just stupid. Pick up a bunch of coins from this homeless shelter. Thing is, there are so many lying around and some of them are a bitch to find. The real meat of this game comes from the token experience, where you have to beat the game in the hardest possible difficulty. Since Mastermind is the max difficulty, and for some reason, being black makes the game even harder. Don't ask why, it's just what the game does as a joke. Like most games, the highest difficulty clears aren't anything special, just harder hitting bosses and tankier enemies. The final boss was an absolute bitch though, holy shit, like 40% of my playtime was just wasted on this one boss. Moving on to our first milestone, and a game you will be all too familiar with by now if you even took a glance at my channel. That game being... Well, we are finally talking about this fucking game again. I already made an almost 5-hour video just talking about this damn game, so this will be super brief. Beat all the levels, get all the berries, crystal hearts, and beat both B and C sides. Simple. Well, for me anyway, who has hundreds of hours on this game and has 100% of the game more times than I could count. If you're coming into this game as a newbie, however, yeah, you really gotta work for these. Especially the Summit B-side and C-side trophies. Holy shit, those levels are hard as hell if you're doing this for the first time. In fact, I am practicing for 7B on a future video that will come up sometime, and holy, this level specifically is unforgiving. I'll talk more about this Gauntlet of Misery in my inevitable second episode of my 3.5 feature movie sized Golden Berries video. We only have the 1-up berry to talk about, which will also be in the aforementioned future video, but I will also talk about it here. If you get 5 berries in a row, the 5th berry will turn into a 1-up berry while the collection animation plays. So just get into the first level and get the first 5 berries carefully, because if you touch the ground, it will collect the berry and end your streak. You can spam hop while on ground to delay the collection though, or you can just use assist to fly, which can actually be set for every trophy on the list. Turning on assist mode doesn't actually disable trophies, like most games that do allow some sort of cheating. So if the game is just too hard for you, just turn on assist. I personally don't recommend it since, I'm biased for this game and I like pain, but, you do you. It's completely fine to just cheat sometimes. I get it, life is hard sometimes. Moving on. This list is super simple, since all the areas you gotta visit and the things you gotta do are all necessary for game progression, so I'm pretty sure missing them is impossible. The only missable trophy on the list is Man's Best Friend, since you can only find the egg in one of the ruins you visit and it's really not necessary for game progression, so make sure not to miss it. Also, another heads up. This game is a little unstable on PlayStation 4. I've had constant lag, crashes, and loading screens mid-game, and since this game does not have an autosave system, sometimes I would lose hours of progress just because the game didn't feel like working. So just make sure to save as often as possible, don't forget to get the egg and raise it, and you're pretty much all good to keep going until the end. Moving on. So since I did all 3 games this time, I'll talk about all 3 games and platinums in one collective section. I'll go by which games I did first, starting with Crash 3. The reason I started with Crash 3 instead of just going from 1 to 3 is because I am heavily biased towards the third game specifically. Don't get me wrong, all 3 of these games are equally amazing platformers that I think everyone should play, but Crash 3 specifically was the very first game I have ever played, and it's what got me into gaming, so I have extra sentimental value for it. Anyway, moving on to the list. You get like 5 trophies if you play normally, so this is a list with a lot of miscellaneous and completionist trophies, and boy these miscellaneous trophies suck if you're trying to figure it out on your own. The trophy description does not help at all, so you need to look up a guide for these. Nothing too difficult, just infuriating. The real meat of this list comes from the relic trophies. Oh boy, these relics are horrible. Not all of them are created equal though. Some relics are way easier to get than others, and some relics are high time, where I spent hundreds of attempts just to get a 0.1 second improvement, only to find out that I needed to be faster. Seriously, fuck high time! Some are super easy though, like so easy that I got the platinum relic without even trying, even though I was aiming for the gold one, since that's the one you actually need for completion. Here are all of my times for the levels, just ignore the initials. Moving on to Crash 1, it is mostly the same deal as Crash 3's list. Bullshit miscellaneous trophies and completionist trophies. Except this time they were a little harder. Seriously, I think I only got like 1 platinum relic without actually trying, compared to Crash 3 where I got way more. For the more difficult relics, Generator Room and Sunset Vista belongs in the 9th layer of hell. Fuck these levels! The rest were just more of a hassle than anything, but nothing compared to these 2 fuck-ass levels. Here are my clear times. For the final game, we have Crash 2. Same thing as last time, but in the most infuriating form. Seriously, these have to be the most annoying and obscure miscellaneous trophies ever. One of them requires you to beat the first level on a fresh save file 5 times in a row without picking up the crystal. God, what a drag! This game's relics are weird, because most of them are pretty easy, but the hard ones, God, they were so fucking hard! Pissed into the way, all the sewer and the bonus levels can go fuck themselves. Anyway, here are my times, and we will finally be done talking about these games. Yeah, we're talking about Minecraft again. We do have a bigger list this time needed for the Platinum, and some of them are pretty annoying, like Rainbow Collection, just because of how much of a drag getting all 16 dyes are, and getting 16 sheep to dye it on. But the usual suspects from the PS3 list are all here. On a Rail, One Pig's Fly, and Sniper Duel. However, unlike the PS3 list, I wasn't able to get every trophy from the extras list because, first of all, the PvP trophies are literally unavailable now, since this version got melded with Bedrock version, making the minigames unavailable. Also, some of these trophies are fucking ridiculous, especially from Volume 2. Fuck these in particular. Moving on. For a puzzle game, this is a really grindy list. For starters, you need to 100% the pretty long campaign, which means you gotta be good at both puzzle games and whatever gimmick modes this game has. Also, for the Historian trophy just didn't work half the time. I think I watched the credits from start to end like 6 times before I actually got the trophy. Then comes all the grindy stuff. 3 to 6 Chainmaster, Screen Cleaner, Puyo, and Mino King can all be grinded out with the Fever arcade mode. Chromatic and Prismatic Popper, you just gotta look up methods for online, since the setups are ridiculously stupid. Same goes for Perfectionist. Tetris Champ, Show Off, and Combo Master can be grinded out by regular versus or endurance. All of these will take you forever, but are possible with enough time. Can't say the same for Gladiator and Prize Fighter though. For Gladiator, you need to win 15 PvP fights, and Prize Fighter is 1 free mode win. Problem is, this game is old, and the community is pretty much dead. So unless you find some sort of niche 100 member PPT Discord server, you are not getting these. So you need either to convince a friend to get the game or find people online to do it with. So good luck with that. Moving on. We are finally back to the Spyro games, and this time we will cover both games back to back as one collective section. Starting with Spyro 2, where the list is entirely made of miscellaneous trophies. None of them are actually hard though, the descriptions are straightforward, and the requirements are easy as hell. The only hard trophies I think are Conservationist 1 and 2, where you can't heal at all during both of the boss fights, with me struggling way more on Conservationist 1 or 2 than 1. Spyro 3 is even easier to do, since the descriptions literally tell you which levels these trophies can be found in, so you don't even have to look for the levels anymore. You also get trophies by just beating the bosses normally, so just have fun playing the game and you will get everything eventually. Honestly, this is something that could be said for all 3 Spyro games, since they have such straightforward platinums, making them pretty good beginner platinums. Moving on. I like this platinum list quite a lot, since it has a little bit of everything. It has the normal mandatory trophies, the collectible grind, the leveling grind with IDKFA, IDDQD, and what else you got being particularly grindy. For collectibles, if you miss anything for the first time, there is a level select, so you are perfectly fine. Next, we got the multiplayer stuff, which I am not even sure works anymore. But what you gotta do is win a game, reach level 5, and also mess around with the level maker that this game has for some reason. Make whatever you want and publish it. Do the tutorials and play some online levels if this thing even works anymore. For the final trophy I want to talk about, we got a super hard one where you just have to do the first level on the highest possible difficulty. If you know anything about Ultra Nightmare difficulty or just Doom in general, you would know that in Ultra Nightmare you only have 1 life. So if you happen to get sniped by an imp that hits like an atomic missile, you gotta restart all the way back from the beginning. So thank goodness you only have to do the first level like this. Just trying to do this level was miserable. I can't even imagine beating the whole game like this. Moving on. Even though I have done this platinum almost 4 years ago, I still remember the hell this piece of shit game put me through. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's start normal. First off, I got doing 200 kills or some other time sync of a requirement for all characters, and god this is such a grind, but doesn't even hold a candle to what I will be talking about later, trust me. There's also some campaign stuff to do, which isn't difficult but will take a while. Collectibles from the campaign too, don't forget those. Some miscellaneous trophies, which are easy. The PvP trophies, which I am not sure how alive the servers are, but when I was doing them all the way back almost 4 years ago, I was already struggling to find matches. So good luck finding some now if you're doing this, for some goddamn forsaken reason. Then there's more grind with these stupid ass ability specific trophies, which aren't hard except for natural 20. But nothing, and I repeat, absolutely nothing even holds a candle to what time to seriously go outside did to me. Holy mother of grinding. If you've ever played a JRPG or something and ever complained about the grinding in those games, dude, you have seen nothing! The most optimal way to do this is to do bot matches with XP multipliers, but even then, this takes literal weeks! I remember doing literally nothing with my life except wake up super early and waste the whole day just to get like 1 character halfway to max rank. I was an absolute no-lifer with this trophy, and even then, it took me weeks of the most monotonous, mind-numbing, and brain-rotting grinding I have ever done in my life. Well, second most. It actually gets worse. But that game will be covered in Volume 2, so stick around to watch me describe the most miserable grind of my life. Holy shit, this platinum sucks. Please don't ever try this fuck-ass grind fest of a platinum. This thing will melt you down mentally and wear you down until you look like one of the zombies you can play as. Don't play this game in general. It sucks! Just play PvZ Garden Warfare 2. Moving on to something, hopefully, much easier. This is one of those generic open world trophy lists, but with a lot more miscellaneous fluff added on to make the list bigger. There are 56 trophies, but none of them are hard at all. You get them just by playing the game, doing the story, and get all collectibles. Anything else extra is super easy and straightforward to do, so just play the game and have fun. Definitely one of the best beginner platinums since it doesn't require any effort to do. Moving on. I guarantee you guys have no idea what this JRPG series is, which is honestly fair, it's pretty obscure nowadays, but it will pop up multiple times on this list. I am planning on making a separate video on these games, so just feign ignorance for now and watch me complain about more grindy JRPG bullshit. First of all, there are 2 endings, so you will have to do multiple playthroughs, and for these games especially, that's an extra 20 hours if all cutscenes are skipped and you can choose with OP gear. Speaking of OP gear, for the godly games and sucky games, just look up a list of combinations and just make whatever from there until you get trophies. After you finish your second playthrough, reload your save before the final fight and start the horrible grinding process this game has. First of all, get a shitload of gold to max invest in all the cities. Once maxed, you also get access to Quiz Millionaire, which has to be done right every time, both for the trophy and to just make the investment process faster, since doing the quizzes correctly gets you 1 million gold. Next are Lily ranks, which are simple but super time consuming. Just pair your character of choice up with every other party member until you've fought enough enemies to get max rank. Repeat until you get max rank for all teammates. Next, you can grind out the level 99 trophy by using the scout feature to change the enemies on the Sun Mu Labyrinth to get this little dude here. He runs away pretty fast, so kill him as fast as you can. And last, but certainly not least, the figure and card trophies. Sometimes enemies on death drop chocolate eggs or chips, which include the figure and the card respectively. You can also just steal on IF and retrieve for easier farming. The figures aren't hard to collect since there aren't many of them and the odds are balanced. The cards, however, oh my god! There are so many of them to get and they are in rarities nonetheless. I don't know if I was just unlucky or something, but the odds for the legendary cards are actual dog water. I would waste like 100 chips before I got 1 of 4, only for my next legendary to be a duplicate of the card I just got. Fuck these cards, bro! One last thing I forgot to mention is Treasure Hunter. On its own, this trophy is already incredibly annoying, where you gotta wait for your stupid ass, slow ass scouts to tell you to find some treasure in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. But the fact that this applies to the Naplunker dungeons is diabolical. These Naplunker dungeons are supposed to be, as you guessed, a parody of Spelunker but with 3D anime girls instead. Problem is, they made the damn thing too hard! You jump too high, you die. You fall down by a foot, you die. You dare glance in the general direction of the enemies, you die. This shit is so clunky, I swear to God. I couldn't even beat the second one without cheesing it because the middle section is just so goddamn hard. Once you do all that, you can finally let your scouts do their thing and repeat this arduous process until you have everything. God, this shit sucked too. I am glad there are only 2 of these shits. Let's move on to something a bit more simple, but not any less grindy. That game being another Puyo game, another grindfest. Except this one, in my opinion, is much worse. But let's start simple. The 3-7 Chain Master trophies can be done on Fever mode, along with Fever Crisis, Advanced Chain Reactor, and Advanced Cleaner. Merciful Mage, Speedster, and Counter Attacker is a bit more situational, but nothing difficult to set up. Prismatic Popper I also recommend looking up since these requirements are extremely specific setups to do. But the real meat of this list comes from League Pro and Advanced Battler. I am pretty sure this is either impossible or some super small niche of Puyo Crusaders online that also have this game can help you do it. But this game is even more dead than PPT. Even if you somehow get the people you need for this, 200 matches is a long time, so good luck finding the people for this. Moving on. This is the final game from the Puyo series on this list, and man, this list is lazy as hell. It is a 1-for-1 carbon copy of the PPT-1 list, so the same grinding problems and multiplayer problems also plague this game. Literally everything I said in PPT-1 applies here. Get someone to do the PvP with and grind out the rest with fever and endurance. Next game, please. I'll be honest, at the time I didn't even know what Senran Kagura was about. I got the game just because of Neptunia. Anyway, this list is super simple. Just play through the game and do all the quests to get pretty much everything else done. Any grinding that needs to be done is for the true worth of these mysterious spirit gems, where you just have to equip the same gem type on all gem slots on any character. Survival from the Yomi is only really worth mentioning is because it can be kinda difficult and takes a while to clear all of the Yomi, but it's really nothing that you can't manage. Moving on to another freebie platinum, that game being... So I could just talk about this game like its list is actually worth mentioning, but no, it really isn't. If you get midway through the game, you get a merchant that literally sells every single trophy in the game. That means that all you really have to do is just grind a shit ton of money and buy out this guy's entire supply, and the platinum is yours. You can also try getting the platinum legitimately if you like the game, which I didn't do myself but personally recommend. Who knows, maybe if this video gets enough traction, I will return to Nier Automata and legitimately get the platinum. So stick around and support me if you like my stuff, and that video will maybe come out one day. Moving on. Oh boy, it's Terraria time. I used to have this as my absolute favorite game, and even before the pandemic, I remember I played nothing but this game for 2 years straight, and never got bored of it once. Not the modern version, mind you, this old fossilized PS3 version, and only when I got my PS4 did I actually try the new stuff. In those 2 years, I was never going for the trophies because holy mother of grind, this game is a slog. Let's start with these two. Fuck these fucking trophies. Basically, what you gotta do is have at least 50% of the entire world covered in either hallowed or corruption. Easiest method for this is getting a contaminator and the solution of your choice. Make a new world, spawn the dryad, and go hog wild until done. Problem is, shit is expensive. With the contaminator being one of the most expensive items in the game, and the solution being bought in bulk is no such either. Next grind quest is probably the second worst trophy on the list, and that's saying something, because holy shit, the amount of RNG checks you gotta do for some of these pets is crazy. Some of my personal most annoying pets is the Baby Guardian, Baby Grinch, Lizard, Parrot, Tiki Spirit, and all legacy exclusive pets. I honestly don't even know if these count, but if they do, that's actually mad unfair if you're playing on PS4 only. I'm smelting is also diabolical. You guys have no clue how much ore 10,000 bars actually cost. It's insane. But if you do somehow farm it all out, you can easily get blacksmith and a good portion of armor done. Speaking of armor, fuck this fucking achievement! This game has so many armors! Most can be made from ores, but the rest are so fucking obscure, it's just bullshit, it drives me nuts! Especially these fuck-ass ancient armors. Look at these fucking odds, especially for the shadow armor. I might as well be going for the casino at this point! Just looking at this list is giving me a headache. Because what the fuck do you mean the fuck-ass diving helmet is an armor piece? Empty bucket? The goggles? The G? Also, this mining armor can go suck my dick, bro. The helmet is 2 gold from the merchant, but the leggings and chest only drop from a very specific rare enemy from a very specific part of the underground mines. And dude, what do you mean you need both the regular snow and the pink snow armor? Why do I need 2 of the exact same set for this piece of shit list? Same thing I said for the mining armor can be said for the Viking helmet and wizard hat too. And don't even get me started on these piece of shit Akram armor sets. These can also burn in hell. This whole list can burn in hell. Fuck this trophy! Crafty? Oh my god, don't even get me started on this bullshit too. Because what do you mean melting a marshmallow over a campfire is a fucking crafting table? Why is the chair table and chair and crafting table a separate combo? Why is the sink a crafting table? A teapot? Oh hell nah! There's still Mecha Mayhem left, and this can be easily cheesed with endgame gear. I don't know why it's so rare, but if you're finally done talking about this shit-ass list, fuck this list, and fuck the pain it put me through to complete Armory and Pet Collector. Fuck the other trophies too, but not as much, but still, fuck you, and fuck this game! That being said though, I haven't played the game in a real long time, and I always wanted to return to it. So, you know what? Maybe someday I'll return to this game being the Terraria boomer and trying to learn all the new stuff. Because the last time I played this game, the summoner class just didn't feel like an actual class. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, moving on to hopefully something more simple. That game being... Nope, never mind. This game also pisses me off. Let's start simple. I don't actually hate the game itself. It's one of the most fun games I ever played and pretty much the only rhythm game I could get into. The difficult stuff comes from these 2 sets of trophies, which is getting 15 S ranks. This is very hard to do, but damn did I have a blast doing it, so I definitely recommend doing this at least. What I don't recommend doing though, and what made me hate this game looking back, is grindcore. Fuck grindcore! 15k beat points is an insane amount of points, but your best source is just going into online multiplayer and grinding out with other randoms. While doing this, you can also get methodical, high fives, and freestyle, so those get eliminated by default. Problem is though, this is an old game with a small fandom. You know what that means? Dead lobbies! Even back when I did this in 2022, I struggled a lot finding a working lobby to do runs on. As you can see, there's only a 2-day break between these, but that's not because the grind isn't actually a grind. That's because I once again no-life the hell out of this thing. For short, play for the game, sweat for a bit for the S ranks and the other miscellaneous stuff, and just pray you can find people online to do this with or convince someone to grind the points out with you. Moving on to another absolutely infuriating platinum, that game being... Let's get on to the most annoying trophy list so far. Since this is the remake of the first two games, both games have their own list, but not in separate folders, just like the Crash or Spyro trilogy. Instead, it's all in one save file. This will bite me back later. Let's start simple. You do get a fair amount of trophies just playing the game normally, but the real meat of this terrible grind comes in the post-game school life mode and whatever else the game feels like throwing at you. Mr. Know-It-All and Mr. Congeniality need you to do the slice and life stuff to the max, which take a lot of playthroughs, especially if you mess up the management simulator aspect of the school life mode, which wastes a ton of your time. 9 coins, 9 purses, 9 bears, and the 1% can be done by spamming class trials for coins. Pretty big grind considering that these are movie-length unskippable scenes and the backbone of the whole franchise. Seriously, you shouldn't have, and for the Horde are literally just gambling, nothing else. Just get a bunch of coins and gamble. Also do all the character events to get their underwear because, you know, that's a thing for some reason. School's out forever and life's a beach. Oh boy, this is a real grind. Because both game modes have a grand smack of 15 endings. Each successful run of school mode gets you 4 endings if you do everything right. But that's still four full playthroughs of this slow, monotonous, miserable shit show. Seriously, these game modes feel like I'm playing Groundhog Day. Fuck these game modes! But the pain is not over yet, with You Must Acquit and any objections to do an entire class trial damageless. If you didn't get it in a normal playthrough, replay whatever trial of your choice. Just a waste of time, honestly. That's all the identical trophies I wanted to talk about. So now we got the exclusive Danganronpa 2 bullshit just to piss you off even more. Like nice cannons. Seriously, why does this shit exist? There's such a brainless grind of just pressing left and right until you get it. But while you work on this, don't forget to check on your pets for gotta raise them all, and your level stat for capped out. For I Should Start a Circus, these hidden Monokumas are missable, which could cost you another playthrough if not careful. For the final trophy, we have this fuck-ass magical girl Monomi mode. The mode itself isn't difficult, but once again, it's the grind that brings it down because these odds are genuinely fucking horrible! Sometimes with these JRPGs it's hard to tell that if I would have had better odds going to an actual casino instead of grinding for like a pink piece of underwear for 8 hours. Moving on to our final game for this video, and thankfully a very well deserved break after the grind fest I just went through with these last 3 games. That game is... This is a game made for literal fetuses, so this list is intended to be insanely easy. Just play for the game, get all collectibles, some of the miscellaneous trophies which are super simple, and that's about it. I have so little to say about this game, dude. Can we just move on to the outro? I just want to be done with this damn video already. Well, that was all the platinums I'll be talking about in this video. The first half, and more importantly, boring half of this list is done. Some of these earlier trophies really had either nothing to write home about or just haven't played the game that game for so long that I've forgotten every single thing about those games. The later half of this video did get a little ranty, and the second volume will have a lot more of those types of platinums that either massively inconvenienced me or hurt me terribly. So stick around for volume 2. A lot longer, much rantier, and way harder selection of trophies to talk about. I'm not sure when it will come out since I'm a busy guy, but I'll try my best to not take too long on it. Thank you all for watching until the end, or even skipping to the end. It's Aussie fair, I get it. These type of super long unstimulating videos are not everyone's cup of tea, but still. I appreciate your support by even choosing to watch this video. If you liked the video, hit the like to support me, and if you want to get notified of when the second part of this monster of a video will release, or just whatever random bullshit I will make next, hit the subscribe button. Maybe one day I'll cover something you might like? Thank you all again for watching. I'll go back to my editing cave and come out when the next part is done, whether that be weeks, months, or maybe even years. It's been your boy, Noku, signing off.